just a little bit about what you think average people need to know about these discussions in terms of when a vaccine might be truly available for them, and also talk about some of the concerns that are swirling around that maybe this is going too quickly, that there might be pressure to approve a vaccine too soon. What should average people know about what you know in terms of the true availability and the true, I guess, efficacy of the vaccines you're looking at?
Sure. So some of the things that people need to understand is a lot of the ways that this is going more quickly has really nothing to do with safety and efficacy that's being done on the trials. It has nothing to do with that. You could ask the people at Meridian. They're doing exactly what they do every time with respect to that. One of the major things that we've been able to do is that we've been able to invest. The R&D is going forward. We're also investing in factory capacity and build out at the same time, and we're investing in the distribution system at the same time. Normally what you do them in order. You do R&D, then they have the factory build out, then they do distribution. Fortunately, because of the generosity of Congress and the taxpayer, we're able to devote money to this all at the same time, which means that we are expecting to really truncate that process, to really make it so that we can move right away. Once the FDA gives the go-ahead that we've got a safe and efficacious vaccine, we'll be able to move right away to put it into a factory, to get it manufactured, and then go right away into the distribution system. So we're working on all those, like 3 separate tracks are going at the same time. And that's one of the major ways that we're able to really accelerate what's going on here. A lot of it, which we were discussing today as well, was about the fact that we have a lot of administrative things that surround this all the time, and we're able really to prioritize these vaccines. It's really a national effort. So if we're able to take both the therapeutics, the vaccines, and the diagnostics, because it's the issue of the highest order for us to get this pandemic over with and to get a safe and efficacious vaccine and to get therapeutics out there. So we're able to really prioritize those. That means that you have the teams at FDA and in HHS are really working directly and getting the data as soon as it's available. That's not always what happens day to day in how bureaucracies function and how companies function. We're able to get the data right away. So there's been a tremendous amount of collaboration and a real openness to partnering in this, which means that we're able to get rid of a lot of the unnecessary time that's built into this process normally. But it has nothing to do with safety. It has nothing to do with efficacy. No cutting corners on that at all.
Available.
So there have been announcements here and there about how quickly, I think just this morning, one of the vaccine companies believe that they'll have data and they'll be able to go forward next month, that they're getting data all along. These trials started in July with the first patient globally here in Savannah. So that we've really had some time that has developed on this front. So and things have been going very well in terms of the ability to get the data, to capture it, to have a really trustworthy process due to good partners like Meridian as well, who've been able to kind of who've had a lot of experience in this area and are able to conduct these trials for us. So I think we're seeing you're looking at a process that has been going, I think, as well as anyone who has experience in this area could have anticipated. So it's been a tremendous process, I think, so far. So we may get data. One of the companies said they think they'll have data towards late this month, and then that means late next month, possibly they'll be able to come forward and say to FDA, please go ahead and put this into formal approval. So we still are aiming, and we still have the same level of confidence we had before, that by the end of this year, we're going to be having, we should be able to get vaccine. That's still on track. Government orders and money don't make the science work. So nature doesn't always cooperate with government or our best wishes, but it is still on track as we had hoped at the beginning of this process.
Let me just add.
Yeah.
I think on the question of the speed and the safety, we had a really good discussion on that today. people don't want to hear from politicians about that. They don't want to hear from people from the government about that. The best person to talk about that is Dr. Bradley. He did a great job today of talking about the safety protocols, but also the speed of this, and I think it would be helpful for the citizens to hear from Dr. Bradley.
Yeah, in 1954, the polio epidemic, the country was in a crisis. No one knew what to do. There was blind faith and trust. 600,000 school kids went to school, and 300,000 of them got placebo, 300,000 got a real vaccine, and that was the entire trial, and it was still experimental. We have come so far between carefully explaining to patients what's happening, between monitoring and oversight and more oversight and more oversight. Everything is being so carefully watched, and it's actually really good. By time we give you a vaccine, by time the FDA says this is approved, it will have been so carefully monitored, and there will be so much data. We'll probably have 100,000 people that have been in the trial that have been watched for, at this point, the better part of a year, and we'll know safety, and we'll know how well it works. And so unlike the school kids who just lined up and literally blind faith, we'll know. And when you get your vaccine, hopefully sooner rather than later, you will know. You'll know it's been carefully studied, and it was not an overnight decision. It was not Russia, where 75 patients in the entire clinical trial that lasted a few weeks, and they decided this works. No, this is the greatest trial, like I said, in the history of the world, and it is being carried out that way. And it's been wonderful, because when the government says it's happening at warp speed, to us and what we've seen, and we're on the ground, what we've seen is the government facilitating in every way possible this trial and the outcome of this trial, and not cutting corners. I've never had oversight like this before, but making sure that everything is done right, everything is done carefully, but in the most efficacious manner possible. And having done this for a very long time now, it's been a great experience. Thank you.
About a month or so since I spoke with you about distribution and storage and partnerships there. Can you give us an update on where we are statewide?
We're working very carefully with McKesson, the medical contractor for CDC. And what we're doing now is we're reaching out across the state of Georgia and going to hospitals, not only to the hospitals in the regions, but also the medical directors of the Department of Public Health. And we've now developed basically a map. The plan, Dr. Toomey is going to be submitting Georgia's plan today, later on today, but we now have coverage across the state. We have identified the priorities as given to us by the Department of Health and Human Services and CDC. So we're using that guidance and rolling that out. And so we have now a comprehensive map. And thanks to the regional hospitals of signing up medical professionals who want to participate in the distribution of the vaccine, I feel very confident that we have coverage across the state.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments?
Can you talk a little bit about the mistrust of vaccines and how we overcome that? I mean, we're in the middle of getting to flu season. People still don't always take flu vaccines. So how can they trust what you guys are going to give them in a COVID-19 vaccine?
Well, part of this is going to be that we've started a campaign with CDC as sort of about vaccinating with confidence. That we know that it's important, both childhood vaccines, the flu vaccine, and now COVID, that people feel confidence that they will get a safe, effective vaccine. And I think part of it is things like this, being able to get the information out there from the experts, from the people who are participating in the development of this vaccine, so they understand how it's being done, and that they can have confidence that the same professionalism and the same expertise is being applied as we always get for the vaccines that are remarkably safe and save millions and millions of lives over the course of the vaccines that we take in this country. They're a necessary part, and they're a necessary part both for preserving lives and also enabling our country to get back to the state that we all want to be in, that puts an end to this pandemic.
Well, I wouldn't be able to put words in Larry Hanson's mouth. The direction that we gave the locals was very clear. After the first allocation, as you know, we gave $371 million of reimbursable funds to local governments, including $7 million here in Savannah, and that's on top of everything else we've been doing during the pandemic, that the National Guard, PPE supplies, and other things. So you'd have to ask Larry about, you know, what he was telling his members. What I know is what was very clear, and that was what we put in the our letter to the locals, that, you know, the first round was done, the second and third round would be optional. As you know, these are reimbursement funds for COVID expenses. It's not a, you know, a pot of money for people to hand out for political favors at the local level. And what we decided to do is use $1.5 billion to pay back the loans that we're making on the uninsurance trust fund right now that the state's having to pay interest for. I'm accountable to the taxpayers of the state and those members of Congress that have appropriated this money. But what people need to realize is this money is going to save every single business that's in Savannah, Georgia, and across our state an average of $350 per employee of tax increases that they would see when the day comes that we have to pay this money back. You know, this is not unforgivable money that the state's borrowing right now. That is the best way that we could help everybody. And I know that people in Savannah understand that more than most. The people like in this hotel, in the restaurants, in the bars, you know, that's other services industry, they pay higher rates than everyone else, so it'd be more than $350. We're helping every single one of those small businesses. Those are the people that have taken it on the chin in the pandemic. Okay. All right, thank you.